Hi there, I just wanted to show this patch off and show a little bit about the STG Soundlabs Switch. This is an implementation I use on the Switch. I think it shows off its versatility and its sort of flexibility, and I put this video on Instagram, but it's kind of confusing, so I thought I'd talk you through it and put it on YouTube. The Switch is using all four inputs. The first two are your simple CV sequences from a Q960, 4 notes, and then that's coming out of the two-stage input in the same way you'd use any other switch. That's the classic 916 switch implementation to switch between two different lines of voltages. Now secondly, I've got two different things in 3 and 4. Now 3 and 4 is giving me gates, and the gates are coming one from the out of a first channel on the sequencer. So that's your standard, every time we do 4 notes, it changes and you can get 8 notes. So again, that's your standard how you use a sort of switch or voltage in a sequential switch and a 960. But then on, I think it's on 3, I've got, that's coming from a V-gates via a sample and hold. So I'm getting a slightly different pattern to when the two voltage lines switch. It's slightly different, and you can see it if I fade up now. If it's on 4, you'll get a simple going up and down a scale. 3, it's slightly different, but as you can see, we're switching between them at a sort of random note. So you can see on 4, it's just up and down pattern. 3, it's slightly different. But then by changing it at sort of random intervals through that, we're getting enough that we can hear a sequence, we can hear a repetition, but it's also changing, and it's not always changing at the time, so we're not on the overall thing able to hear a pattern, which is keeping it from being boring and allowing us to sort of keep listening to wonder where it's going to go next. So let me fade that right down, and we'll see how we're managing that random change between the two gate patterns. So we're controlling it by this input, which is from a signal processor, and then the output of a Turing machine. Turing machine set to random, so I have no idea. There's no sequence to how we're getting these voltages. The voltages have been offset, so they'll only ever be 3 and 4. We don't want to put 2 and 1 in, because 2 and 1 are CV, they're not gate. So essentially, we're limiting it to being a two-stage switch, randomly changed between 3 and 4. We've got output of that into output of this, which is changing when we're doing there. So it should just go 1, 2, 1, 2 as it goes along, but you'll find it will do little slips, little blurps as this changes, and then that kind of makes it a bit more interesting. Of course, as I said that, it never changed. Kind of to note, the one thing when I was looking to do a clock, and it doesn't really matter when it changes, but you do want something that's fairly random, or at least, a little bit more interesting. I'm taking this from the stage 3 output. So the switch is providing the clock, which is providing the random voltage, offset into deciding which part of the first parts of the first parts of the switch are coming out to by doing that. So 2 sets of CV voltages, 2 sets of gate sequences. This part, this voltage select output, chooses between 3 and 4. That comes out, goes straight in, and tells us when we're changing this, which is also basically providing a clock to start the whole thing again. Just got to go through a attenuator. And the other thing I've got is I've got an LFO on the pulse width modulation, just to kind of add to a bit of excitement, make it a bit more or less standard. Well, thanks for watching. Any questions on this, good to know, but it's a good implementation, and I kind of found it when I realized I needed 2 sequential switches. You can of course put this into another switch or another sequencer if you want this to be standard, or you can use, I think, a square wave, put through an offset and attenuated, so you've got 50% this, 50% this. I kind of quite like the randomness of it. I think it's good to have something, and it certainly allows you to listen to it for a longer period without realizing it's just a sort of loop sequence. Anyway, I'll fade out on this.